counting 10 in my head.
Very good.
All right, we good? We all good? Hey, look, free Spanish tutoring.
When you're ready.
I'm good. I'm ready. Wait, you mean wait, we're starting?
Yes.
Oh, have we started?
This is the new and improved upload
Oh.
version of the Ecopoint Podcast. This is
Oh,
your
wait,
boy
we've started?
Obiwankenobi. Yeah, we have
Oh,
started
shit.
for the last few seconds. Great to have you guys
Oh,
all
I
here.
didn't know.
I knew
I was
it.
expecting that.
The countdown on 10 starts for you, my friend, but let's count down to 1. 1. Let's go.
Is the stream started? I don't know if it started or
It
not.
has. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
We start
Hello.
on new terms.
Welcome. I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
It's your turns now.
All right.
You may take the lead.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ecopoint Podcast, or welcome back, I should say. We have another fantastic day of news to cover. I'm Toucan, as everyone already should know. We have Obi over there. Say hello, Obi.
Hello there.
We have the Kiwi himself, and we have special guest Poxy. Why don't you introduce yourself for the people in the back that do not know who you are?
Heyo. Also, Toucan, lovely way to start off the podcast in the way of just like, you know what? Whatever works, you know? Just like, oh shit, we're starting. So, anyway, short introduction. So yeah, my name's PoxyCaster. I'm the desk host over at the our Overwatch Community Clash over at the main Discord server for the subreddit. So I'm just a generic lover of the Overwatch League, just like Obi and just like you two can. Like, you know, we've done a couple of watch parties over at the main server, and like I don't know, I'm just a great fan of good Overwatch, and yeah, I occasionally shoutcast and say, you know, things, and you know, just overall just commentate on some good Overwatch matches, even though it's done by the community. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on board.
Yeah, honestly, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Fantastic. You know what I just noticed? Our stream title is the same one from last podcast.
Yeah,
I
don't
just
worry.
noticed.
We'll chip this out and we'll add in the
Yeah, this is not
PoxyCaster
Chipmunk.
for you
This is
all
not
in
Chip.
post.
This is definitely not Chipmunk.
Yeah, we learned the
But
hard way
all
that
right,
we'll get this updated and we'll post this up with the new title as you guys
But
see fit. This is no longer an
Obi and
2.5
Toucan,
app. Yes,
I
sir.
just want to tell you guys that at least your level of production is equal to the Overwatch League. So just be proud of that.
Yes,
NA
I've got that
production.
validation for the 5th time this year. Do you know how awesome it is that you get that for yourself, but you tell it to others because it is Overwatch level production? This
Yes,
is
so don't
Overwatch
worry
level.
about that.
Oh, no worries. So, Poxy is going to be our special guest for this episode. I'd love to be able to see him for
Yes,
many
yes,
more
yes.
episodes further down the line. He's got some great backgrounds in hosting and casting, and honestly, we could love to teach you a little bit more about contenders and what that's going to look like coming into next year with a couple of changes that got, and Gauntlet that's going to be scheduled to come up. But here, this episode, we're just going to be talking about some of the trades. I think there's been what some people are saying too many trades, so many releases, but even more exciting new rosters going on. And I've got Poxy here with his screen for today, so appreciate it, Poxy, for being able to give us a couple of our links and a couple of explainers going on into this postseason with all the signings and the deadlines that the teams have to go through. It's currently at time of this recording, it is now the 16th of November. So we already hit close to the deadlines which
The
teams must
15th of
exercise.
November, but yeah.
Yep, any team
For me.
options to extend existing contracts. Thank you, Toucan. Who wants to start off on this? Where we are at the moment with the postseason?
I guess I'll go. This has been a very chaotic off season in a good way. Like season 2 had was a really great off season. I think this just throws everything about season 1 and season 2 off season down the drain. Like this has been very chaotic. It's been good for some teams. A lot of teams have gained, but some teams have definitely lost. Paris. All my Paris fans, I hope you're doing well. I hope you are pushing through strong. Oh, it's a tough time for Paris fans. I can say that much.
Yeah, you
I mean, what do you feel about the off season so far?
I have a couple of thoughts on how this has been moving more towards where people expected, with more people retiring and dropping out. This list of player trades, or sorry, ones that have actually been promoted, as well as some traded on from existing teams, which people saw they can do it again. They can do another season together. What's wrong with keeping a stable roster these days? It's just contract signings at the end of the day. Business is business. Business as usual would be these guys being signed onto 2-year contracts. Halfway through the year of their 2-year contract, they go for a player re-sign option or a player option, and those would take it up. And for the teams that came in last year in season 2, their 2-year contracts would have ended now, and they've either considered it to opt to renew, or they've decided, these teams do want to go out of their own way. These are still people. They've got a lot of life to explore. They want to try and do it in other teams and other cultures. And you can see a lot of these, there's some familiar names here. And for those who've watched even further past the Overwatch League history and NA contenders, or before it was even contenders, of course, there's Apex as well. Apex, the tournament, not the game. There's so much to look forward to coming into 2021. Poxy, what are your
Yeah,
hot
no,
takes?
actually, I just want to talk about this. So, like, you mentioned before about the idea that, like, okay, so a lot of these contract signings are coming up in like 2 years, like they're all trying to get re-upped, yeah. So, like, the logic, I think my logic is in this coming like roster apocalypse is that there's going to it's an entire reset of the Overwatch League roster, because before the COVID pandemic and before like the recent grand finals is like a lot of the teams still had enough of the money to have this idea of, you know what we're gonna do, we're gonna run a team of 2 teams of 6. Like some teams had 2 teams of 6s, right? I believe what's it called, which team had almost like 2 different rosters at some point? um was it Dragons I think had almost like 12 players in one team,
Yeah,
where it was
almost.
like they were just
Not quite
Mhm.
everybody there on a 12-stack roster that you'd want to field again, mostly because of what we can see in retrospect, but because they had a lot of parts that couldn't move. You had tanks that spoke different languages, but when you had London Spitfire is the one you're probably thinking of from season
oh
1.
yeah, Spit.
Yeah, we're talking Gesture, Prophet, Rascal, Birdring. Look at where these guys are now. They're still in the league.
Right.
They're still running at heart. They're striking Wild Iron's heart and other teams now.
Yeah,
Some more so than others.
yeah, exactly. But like, I feel like this reset is what, like, this reset's been what's needed for the Overwatch League, because I feel like not to say that these players are all extremely good. They're all extremely good in all the in every aspect of them as players. But it's just the idea that there's just too many players in the Overwatch League, right? It's like you've seen like how many players have left over the Overwatch League to go to Valorant, to go to retire, to like just stop playing. It's like
And
this, yeah, I mean, like freaking, I think not yeah, Dallas Fuel, some of their, like, they lost most of their roster during the roster apocalypse, of which 3 of their players went to Valorant, to
They
a
just
different game altogether. It's
they
like,
sat on their contracts. They finished them. Didn't go.
yeah,
Not one of their players, maybe one, decided to sign themselves off and cut off the deal really early. Prematurely just sign off with a bit of a spicy take on the internet, which is very totally offensive. But
yeah, I
that's
mean,
how
yeah,
things go. That's
exactly,
one way to end your ties. But of course, as
yeah,
Dallas Fuel, I feel like it'd be unappreciative of the fact that these guys are so diverse on this
yeah.
team. Now we're starting to become a bit more. Well, I know, but you guys, looking at Dallas Fuel's perspective, you've got a lot to look forward to. On this list, you've got a
a
couple of
lot of
starting
expectation.
to the Dallas Fuel. Oh my goodness, I'm looking at that list now
Uh,
as you skim through it.
All right, let's
Doha,
go.
Fielder, Sparkle. Hey guys, I heard Element Mystic had a team like this before. They also had a coach called Rush.
Never heard of them.
What is
Never
going
heard of
on
them.
here? Well, we will.
Okay, let's. Dallas Fuel have won the off season. They have like Hastro has worked his magic into making this team I don't think putting them anywhere below top 3 is acceptable. This team is, that team is stacked. Now, they're going to be coming to the season with a lot of expectations. And let's be honest here, I think if they finish anywhere else, like outside the top 5, it's a failure. Team's a failure. But I cannot see this team failing. I can't. I think it's just a completely new culture for, coaching, new players, which are all good. Every single one of them are good, maybe besides like Repel, but even Repel is solid. So and they already have pre-existing synergy with each other. So this team is going to be scary. Very, very scary to play against.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to, like, how important do you think the core group of Fielder, Sparkle, and Hanbin, because they were all ex-Paris Eternal players, are going to work in with the Dallas Fuel like organizations? Like, because like I feel like this Dallas Fuel has just turned into Paris Eternal, except in blue, right? It's just like I'm trying to like
much lighter, darker blue.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's lighter blue. They're now based off in the South of America. It's just like, they don't have to speak French anymore, so that's great. But it's just like I feel like they're going to be bringing in a lot of stuff that the Paris Eternal has taught them, and then just apply that in a different name or different organization.
I think I do believe that the pickups of Fearless, because Fearless is still going to probably be thinking in a Shanghai Dragons type of way for a little bit, but he's played. I think he'll adjust fine. I'm going to be honest. This is kind of a hot take. Rush has very questionable decision making sometimes when it comes to swaps. He has a very questionable roster decisions, like not playing soon on Sombra and just throwing Sparkle in. And then when it didn't work the first time, you tried to play him the second time on Sombra. I don't like. Has this team really changed all that much from Paris? Like, even when they were running their full Korean team, they were still good. But I think maybe Fearless. I think Fearless is the X factor that probably does not make this team the same as they were last year. Now they can speak full Korean with each other. They don't need to speak broken English with Ben Best anymore or FDGod. They can now all speak Korean with each other and have clear comms. So I think that's going to make a massive difference.
Yeah, I was about to say, you mentioned the idea that so you mentioned the fact that they're all going to be in Korean, but like, because I've heard in some in some podcasts and some news as well, that the idea that the Paris Eternal half EU, half Korean roster running the like broken English style wasn't actually as bad. Like, they themselves, I think, said that like even though they had like their communication was different, it wasn't really that detrimental. I say detrimental. It didn't affect their game style as much. I mean, like, you've seen some of the games, like Eternal popped off during the what's the tournament before? Yeah, the Summer Showdown, where Sparkle was just like insane, right? So I think it's just
the best Summer Showdown tournament I've ever seen, where the underdogs really shined in a meta that was just literally just being able to force a Genji, have Baptiste going at each other to see whose immortality bubble would be pulled off at the same time, and the nano boost still came back in full force. Didn't need to, but they were some very good moments in my time as a Guangzhou fan.
The thing about Paris is that after the Summer Showdown, they looked a little bit stagnant. They looked a little... What's the word I'm looking for? They didn't look as dominant. The Genji was taken out. No, they still looked good. Like, they looked good. They just didn't look as good, if that makes sense. They started to look a little... Metas weren't maybe favoring them all that well. That team just looked very, very sus when it came to the big playoffs. That team looked very sus.
Now, you were actually right on the. You were actually on the ball with the meta talking point. But now here's the question: do you think Sparkle, I've only seen Sparkle good on the Genji, right? And meta right now, isn't looking very well in the Genji. Do you think that Dallas Fuel are going to be able to be as like I haven't seen Doha play. That's the issue. Like I haven't seen Doha. I haven't been following the Dallas Fuel as much, so I don't know how Doha and Sparkle are going to like synergize together as the DPS duo. Because, I mean, the pickup with XCizzy, do you think they're gonna just? Do you think Doha is just gonna be benched? Yeah, I was gonna say, are they just gonna bench Doha and then just bring XCizzy and Sparkle as their own as the DPS duo?
I think Doha has a way better Sombra than Sparkle, and Sombra was getting played a lot, and she's still getting played a good amount in the higher ranks of Overwatch. Sparkle, I think what's weird was Sparkle was used to playing Sombra. I just don't know why he didn't look as good on her when it came playoff time. That's what I don't understand. Did something just like snap in his brain that he can't play Sombra at like a super high level anymore? He was getting outperformed by Sharp. Sharp had a field day with Sparkle on Sombra. Like, it wasn't even remotely close to who the better Sombra was in that Reign Paris series. It's just, I don't know if this team is going to be meta dependent, because having Xe as your only hit scan.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, right? It's just like.
You're right.
It's
like,
just
if
that
a double hit scan meta comes in, are you going to throw in Doha? Because Doha has some hit scan experience. He was forced to play hit scan when he played with Sparkle. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team does. Now, do I think this team is going to be a top 3, top 5 team? Yeah. This team's top 5.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
paper,
like,
I can make a confident statement that top 6 is not out of the question. If everything in their metas past with GOATs and going forwards have actually looked really tight and confident. You can see the individual talent all these guys from the previous Element Mystic generations have created. So you might as well just bring them all back together, and this time we won't have an implosion like Vancouver Titans, surely.
Hopefully.
Yeah, there's
Oh.
only so many factors that could be out of control when your coaching is under control. The person that's endorsing you guys to come together has got the fattest stack of cash that he's willing to flex on a roster that everybody can really get excited about. And the only person that's not from Element Mystic, Fielder. So he's already set a high bar, Rush, and the coaching staff and who they want.
I wonder how he's going to look on low ping.
That's the one
That's
I'm
gonna be
really
interesting.
looking forward to. Low ping Fielder.
I think I'm going to say it. Their weakest links have to be their support line. And it's nothing against Fielder. I don't know if it's because Jexi looks super, like, he was playing like a god in the beginning of the season, but as it slowly progressed, Jexi started to look worse and worse and worse. Now, did he look bad? No. He was looking like more of a C and B tier. Repel is a C tier, in my opinion. Repel is super average. He's a very average flex support. Now, I just don't know, like, because supports are so valuable, and having a good main support is also super valuable. I just don't know how Jexi stacks up against the Moths, the Funny Astros, the FDGods, even the Charas. Like, I don't know how well he's going to be able to hold his own against them.
Okay, is there anything else we have for Dallas?
No, because I was just gonna say it passes the eyeball test, right? You see these names and you're like, yeah, Dallas feels gonna be the best. But like when you start going into it deeper, like you get the Element Mystic synergy, you get the X Paris Eternal synergy, you get, they have good backing by Envious, Hastro, and the entire organization. Just, do you think they have the chemistry when they get into the server? And I think that that's entirely up on the coaching staff. Like, if they can get that to work, I mean, if they've played with each other before, both in EM, then in Paris Eternal, it's just, can they stack up to teams that are so dependent on team chemistry, like the Shocks, I was about to say the Philadelphia Fusion, but they also have a problem of a superstar thing. Like the Shocks, the Shanghai Dragons, where they're like, the team composition is almost as important as the individual skill themselves. So I think Dallas feels going to look good. I
think this team is not going to be like a Vancouver Titans type of team. I think this team is going to have periods of time where we're going to doubt them. We're going to think, oh, this team is meta dependent. This team can't play this. This team can't play that. I think they're gonna be a team to look out for, though. They're not. You can't sleep on these guys. You cannot sleep on them,
You will
especially
not
with
sleep
the
on
addition
them.
of Fearless
Yeah.
and then Exy. Whew.
GX's gonna
I
boot
just-
you off
I-
the map, man.
You
He's
just better
bloodthirsty.
pray to.
Yeah.
This team better pray to God that there's no double hit scan meta.
All right.
This team
Also-
better pray. but-
Also, just one last thing. Like, this team looks like it would stay for 2 years.
yeah, I think this
will be
team
the
that-
is.
team you keep on
If,
another
Yeah.
or if MB treats them right, if they don't have any internal issues, this team is here to stay.
Yeah,
I
because-
think they all want to be together as well.
Yeah, because like the roster apocalypse right now, I think isn't just for whatever's happening in the next season. It's for what's happening in the next 2 seasons. That's why people are making these really drastic swaps. Because I think most of the teams that dropped all of their players, they're not looking to just get players that they can play for the next season, but they're actually rebuilding a lot of their core members. So,
Speaking of rebuilding, yeah, I feel like that this is a good transition to Philadelphia Fusion because who's just
Oh,
recently
oof.
been re-signed?
Oh,
Who's been
where
recently
do we
re-signed?
even
We're gonna see a blank
where-
page for Philadelphia Fusion.
where do we
Besides
even
signing
start
Nico.
with the fusion?
They want to stay.
Oh,
They must be staying because we've got the official word that Carpe and Alarm
okay.
are still on this team. Did it scare anybody? It shouldn't have, but it did give people heart attacks.
All right, let's just look at the former players. Don't skip the two
Fury,
that don't matter, but just look
Ivy,
at the ones that actually
Sato.
matter.
Those are the ones you're talking about that matter. I'm sorry if it wasn't Chipster. I'm sorry if it was.
Yeah, why did they drop Sato and why did they drop Fury? It's like,
Ivy, I can get. You can get another good flex DPS. Those are like, you can find them. You can find them somewhere. They exist. You can get Rascal. You can get Rascal. I predict this team to get Rascal. It's either them or Soul that's getting Rascal.
oh yeah, Rascal's a free agent now, isn't
Rascal is a free agent.
But
in
was
2020.
Rascal worth dropping 3 great players? Fury, arguably a top 3 off tank. Sato, arguably a top 3 main tank. I think he was better than Mono, but I don't know how much I want to put onto Mono though, because NYXL played so. They either played super passive or they played super aggro, which left Sato on his own. I mean, Mono. I think Mono.
Mono.
Yeah.
I just.
Mono's in.
I think Sato played better than Mono though. Like, I don't know how much the difference is gonna be. Maybe Mono looks like just Jesus Christ again with Alarm and Astro backing him up. But Fury, that's a hurt. I mean, you have Poco still. He's good. He's solid. But Fury's a ouch. That's a big ouch.
Yeah.
Hisu, I've heard rumors of, like, they're not confirmed, but he may leave as well. If
I
they
feel
don't,
like there is one that's not going to
Money.
cut it through the current roster that we see signed at the moment because we
I think it's between. I think the last one
three.
that leaves is between Poco and Hisu. I think those are going to be one of the last 2 that leave as free agents. Because are Hisu and Poco like signed 1 more year?
I believe
They are.
actually.
What about Funny Astro? It should be for 1 more year.
No, all right. It's November 15th. So that means anyone that hasn't been dropped is already anyone that hasn't re-upped their contract is a free agent. So that means this is accurate. So that means they have been re-signed already.
Okay.
Because the minimum
Okay.
roster numbers is instead of 8, which was originally planned before all the home stands were shut down, we went down to 7, didn't we? And then it went down to 6. We're
Yeah.
just going with what you can. So the only team that I can remember that's actually managed to hold on to a team of 6 was the Florida Mayhem Season 1. And it was an all EU roster. They held on to 6 and they kind of stuck with that last I checked.
Yeah.
Like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went with the bare minimum 8 at the time, and even they had more players if we fast forward to today. Some that will be
So
on 6.
where do you? So I've heard rumors that they're going after Rascal. Who is that off tank player that starts with a G? I cannot say his name. Oh, he's a
Can you spell
contenders
it?
player. It's like GAE. I don't.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that's
I don't
why
know
I'm
his-
here.
it-
Your Korean fluency is pretty good, isn't it? Would you say it's GaeBullSsi?
Yes, it's him. It's GaeBullSsi.
GaeBullSsi,
That
Foxy?
is someone that has been heavily rumored to go to the Fusion.
Wait, who does he play for?
Obi, do you know? Because I don't know a lot about GaeBullSsi.
I just need
I
a
just know-
spelling of his name. GaeBullSsi with 2 S's at the end. So there's a lot of double F's in characters. But he's currently on
That's poor
WGS
name.
Phoenix, who won Contender's career with a couple of really good people there. Like I am 37 for Boston Uprising. If we got time to talk about that, we will. But there's
will.
still some movements waiting to happen there.
Yeah.
So we'll probably go in depth when
Now-
there's more depth. to
All
it.
right. So whilst we're on the topic of the Philadelphia Fusion, I have to understand like what is their playstyle that they can pick up Rascal, right? Because you have Carpe and EQO. Where does Rascal fit in this Fusion roster? That like it's not going to change. It's not going to be exactly the same as what we saw during the grand finals, right? Because what I saw from the Philadelphia Fusion during the grand finals was literally just all-star plays, and that's it. No coordinated pushers, no set plays, nothing. It's just Carpe pops off, EQO pops off, or they're done, right? And like, if they bring in Rascal, it's gonna be exactly the same thing, just a different flavor of it. It'll just be the tracer instead of like a different hit scan. So like, I'm trying to figure out.
Guys, we got Rascal and we got Carpe. We need to
Yeah,
Doesn't
but
hold
the
up.
problem is, it's just that like, it's not like they're missing the DP. It's not like it's a DPS diff, right? It's just that their plays are all set on someone getting a pick, and then everyone
Whoa.
piling on.
Are we forgetting
Yeah.
that they got 9K?
They do have 9K.
Are we
They
forgetting?
still have
9K is
KDG,
building
don't they?
this.
He's left for.
We have to remember 9K is building this team in his image. He has some say in who goes and who stays. He's wanting to build this team how he sees fit. And if as a Shock fan, I think Philly fans need to just calm down. It's 9K. He's a fantastic mind. He knows, like, he's not trying to screw the Fusion over. I think this team is probably going to be a little bit more like a passive-ish team. They're going to play like Season 1 or Season 2 NYXL, where they played pretty passively, and when the other team made a mistake, they'd capitalize on it. And then their whole everything would shift.
I
At least what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I can see where you're coming from. It's just like it's just that I feel like they need a bit more of an aggressive tank, not. Yeah, no, I can see.
Their
Maybe
aggressive tank
we
is
really should.
Mono, and that's
Yeah,
why
that's what I think.
this
Is that the
synergy
reason why
works
they picked?
on paper, and then in
Yeah.
practice they might realize that they over support reliance on feeding Mono healing, and then Funny Archer being such a great boot god for this team, and Alarm also being a big fragger. Maybe Mano will learn that he doesn't have to be ultra aggressive, like we've seen, just to be able to deliver.
He doesn't need to be the
He
one
can
making
slow
the
it down
plays.
to let the other team members really play around his tank play. Hopefully not to
Yeah, but
affect
I
his feeds, but maybe he could be the first to die, which we've seen many a main tank do, and then the rest of the team managed to dive in and take it out from there. But that's sounding really dangerously close to a unmatured Shanghai Dragons Season 1 strat, where they always let the main tank die.
I don't think they're gonna. I think Mono's gonna look better than he did in Season 3. I think he's
We're
gonna look
really
better.
riding on Mano really shining this season, in the same way
This
Sato
is
did in
Mono's
Season 2.
first time being on a mixed roster, so comms could be a little ish sometimes. They could be a little ish, but
No,
I
Yeah.
think
You only
I think
introduced
this team is
one.
gonna be fine. I think this team is gonna be fine if they make the rest of the right decisions. Like they bring in GaeBullSsi, and if they bring in Rascal, that is huge. We can all agree that Rascal can basically pick up any hero. If you tell him to play, he'll play it.
Like the Rascal pickup is going to be great. It's just that I'm looking at the opportunity cost over both Carpe and EQO when you bring in Rascal. And like, sure, it's just like I feel
think,
the Mono
EQO
pickup
can't
was
play what.
no Rascal can play, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Rascal is the one that
Yeah.
adopts heroes the fastest. He doesn't have to be the top tier, but he does it in a way I would be convinced if he was in my quick play games, he's going to shut down people with the latest hero, whether that be
Yeah.
Ash or it's Baptiste. This guy will do that, and if
Echo.
he's asked
He
to
had
pick
the
it up,
best Echo in the league.
Oh yeah,
very few of these people who adopt
forgot
the
about the
heroes in
Echo,
a
yeah.
very short amount of time. If Echo has to come back, he'll be the one to pick it up again.
He
Yeah.
is arguably the best flex DPS next to Fleta. So it's, I mean, Rascal probably picks up heroes quicker than Fleta does, but Fleta is probably a wider hero pool. Yeah, but we're not going to get into that debate here.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
I think Fusion. I mean, for my closer, I think Fusion will be fine. I think if they make the right moves, but this team, I don't know. I don't know where this team is. If this team going to be really that different, I mean, they're probably going to have a different play style because of 9K, but I don't know. I would have to see them play. I have to see them play to give an opinion on it. I need to see their full roster.
You know who
To
I
be
don't
like,
need to
I
see
can-
play to get my opinions on? It's the San Francisco
Who?
Shock.
Oh
Scroll
god, we're
down
gonna
2
but,
lines, and
yeah.
you've got yourself
Yeah.
that roundhouse team
Yeah.
that's only just thinning out so much of its team. But because they've had so many different personnel shifts of identity from season 1 to season 2, and then just maintaining that stable roster, despite all the shedding that they had over to Valorant for Sinatra, or Moth going over to the Gladiators, which is one of the most exciting parts of today's episode. I think this is going to be quite interesting. I don't know why Mandu is on this list.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Judge.
I think they assumed that Mondu was going.
Someone looked
but
at the inside leaks and they were paid millions
Yeah.
for the right answer.
Actually,
The
to
wrong
be fair,
answer.
there's something going on in like the on the competitive subreddit where someone made like the equivalent of like the flat Earth Society except for Overwatch League leaks, and that could be the reason why Mandu was on it. But I think it looks like a good pickup. But just so I can also do a closing on the Fusion.
Yes.
I think that I think the Philadelphia Fusion is going to be like either they're going to be a top 5 team or they're going to be in the bottom of the league. It's just like the chemistry
I don't
has
see
to
them
work.
at the bottom. It does have to work.
No, it's just that it's not like they're in the bottom. But if they don't fix their issues that they this is a hot take, by the way. It's just like if they don't fix their issues that they had during the playoffs and during the grand finals, where they just rely on the superstar plays. Like every other team is building a core. Fusion's just buying superstars, right?
I mean,
that's what I'm just looking at it. Like all.
The best clip was Sato on King's Row. Just what the fuck was he doing? What was he doing?
And then you have the
that's-
opposite of that, where it's just Carpe on overtime in one of the Nepal maps, where the Shriners, I believe, was Sanctum with the hole, and he just jumps on the Widowmaker at the last moment, and he just gets the headshots, makes it winnable. One of the all-time highest viewed highlights in Overwatch League on the YouTube channel. It really does scream.
When
You
was
can carry
this? When
this
was
game.
this?
It's 6v6.
A few months ago.
This was, I think it was somewhere in the Philadelphia Fusion homestands, I'm pretty sure. That's what you do to deliver a great game. And when they return to homestands, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Exactly.
Those star plays or those mind-boggling
So
carries.
this team is in the Shaka. This is my domain.
So let's go.
Okay, FDGod. I am excited. I think it's gonna be it's a fresh new face. It's a great main support. Now, Moth it hurt. It's a herder for obvious reasons. It's Moth, but I think Shock fans are quickly gonna forget that it happened when FDGod starts being a god. I think that it would just be a distant memory for a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, we lost Moth. It was sad, but guess what? We have FDGod now. But there are 2 players on the Shock that I believe have not been re-signed yet. It is Violet, Super. The 2 players that have not been confirmed to be re-signed with the Shock yet. How do we feel about the thoughts about those 2?
I'm gonna be real with you. If Shock drops Super, they might as well drop every single amount of funding. The man has been on Jimmy Fallon representing the Shock. He's like it's like a name brand. That would be like McDonald's dropping the yellow from the M if they drop Super, right? Toucan.
Yeah.
Super obviously been re-signed.
I don't think it's maybe it just hasn't been announced yet. I would be fine with Violet leaving because Violet is arguably the second or best flex support in the league, but Twilight was probably one of the most hugest low-key pickups of last season because Twilight is still signed. He can play every hero that Violet plays at the same level. It's kind of... I think if you could keep Violet in Super and then also still keep Twilight, which they have, this team is no different from last season. They just have new coaching. They have Cass and they have... who's the London one?
I actually know this guy. I can't remember his name. He's the guy from... Is he German? No.
It's the London Spitfire head coach from season 1.
Oh wait, no, I was thinking of Cass. Never mind.
Agape?
Yeah, Agape.
Oh, okay. I just kind of guessed whichever players was still on that original roster. Yeah, that was their coach, wasn't it? Agape.
Yeah, I think... where do you guys see a shot going? Because they still need to sign a flex DPS. I don't know who they sign. I really don't know. Does anyone here know any good contenders flex DPSs?
Well, why do they need to sign a flex DPS? They have Teo.
Tayo will do just fine.
Tayo can't. Tayo is more of a hit scan than anything. He can play
I also
other.
thought that Barnes was a Widow 1 trick. You never know what it's like with Coach Krusty's training.
I'm just saying, pick one up just in case. In case we need to. Because Tayo, he can't just be the go-to. We need him to play every single flex DPS. We need him to play Doom. We need him to play Mei. That's a lot of pressure for someone to learn so many heroes that quickly, if it is required to. So I'm just saying, get a flex DPS if Tayo is not able to learn a certain DPS.
I mean, isn't that also why strikers? I mean, it used to be like if you're gonna go for a hit scan, you get Rascal and then you get Ans, right? And then striker would be there, but not so much
Rascal
there.
Doesn't play hit scan.
Wait, Rascal plays a tracer, doesn't he?
No, that's striker.
Striker,
Striker
man, I am
big boy.
sorry. I keep forgetting these things. I apologize. That was terrible for me. Thank you very much, Toucan. I apologize. That was a horrible mistake for me.
Yeah, not the right take to take, but
yeah,
I see where you're coming from, right?
Yeah.
If you got this DPS roster already, I don't see a problem with Tayo being the flex DPS as much as he is a proper hit scan. Coach Krusty is the guy who managed to train up mistakes. Russian flex DPS who was an amazing Sombra. They'd always field a Sombra somewhere inside their entire maps on Boston Uprising. He has the proper talent to be able to whip someone up like Tayo into something completely different, and it will throw people off when it really matters. It will be mind-blowing.
I mean, there's a certain, if you look up one, there's a flex DPS that is currently a free agent that probably isn't asking for a whole lot of money.
Shop all you want. They might do
Ivy on the shock.
Ooh, that's sad. That is a pick. That'd be a good pick.
Ivy.
If they were to get Ivy, I do not see. This is obviously going to sound biased. I don't see how this team can't 3P. I don't see how. Maybe the league is the league is like at the best point of talent ever. This is the best season of talent we're gonna see as of right now.
I mean, so much so we're dropping some good players already, and they're just going down. So yeah,
the shedding
like there's just
too much throughout the season.
There's just too much of an influx of players.
Yeah,
but
not just the players. Yeah, if you're ready to move on, the one that I had in mind was the Guangzhou Charge. But if you had another team, I'd let you guys pick the next one. This team.
I'll let Poxy take.
Their personnel.
Who do I even? Where do I even?
I was thinking of. They have.
Where do I even begin?
I mean, do we want to start alphabetically?
Actually, I'm gonna go talk about the Spitfire on this one because that's my hometown. That's my home crowd in this one.
Nice.
I say home crowd.
You have a nice roster so far.
So far, yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing, though, because if I remember correctly, Spitfire is moving to an EU roster.
Yep, that's it.
Supposedly.
So this pick, like I think, well, like in terms of what's current, like a lot of the switches is that this Spitfire roster is just incomplete for the moment. So I don't even believe this for now. So that's gonna be my like. I mean, they
I
dropped
can't believe-
every single. They dropped JMac. They dropped.
If they
I don't even know. I mean, like,
listen,
oh,
this is
yeah,
my
there was
logic. If they wanted to pick up British Hurricane, they've already would have picked up their players, and they would have traded all. Like I say, Sanguinar goes to Florida, Glister goes to Glister. What team desperately needs a hit scan?
desperately
Maybe-
needs a hit scan.
Like an APAC. team
Eternals
that
probably
desperately
needs
a
it. Aren't they
hit-
going full Korean?
Yeah, don't you think that would answer the shock problem you had?
They're going a low budget. Paris is going low budget.
So you're just
Mm.
gatekeeping them because we think that they're going low budget?
They are confirmed to go low budget this season. They are
Okay.
confirmed to go low budget. I mean, Sanguinar to the Florida Mayhem makes sense. It makes sense. They need a main support.
I don't think
Fuse
this is
and
gonna be-
Bernard. I don't know where Fuse goes.
Yeah, this
don't
is
know
not
where
the
he
final
goes.
list of all Korean talent that they'll have on the London Spitfire roster these days. If they do drop to a all European roster and then mix in a little bit in between, that seems a bit more acceptable for continuing these guys' contracts.
How would Bernard sound to the Spark? They need a off tank.
I'm
This is
gonna
just kind of an
pass
idea.
on that since I don't know if we've got much to cover on Hangzhou right now since QOQ has dropped. There's not a lot really we can go off if all the signings are just rumors. at this
I
point.
think that. I mean, wait. London did sign 2 coaches. They signed Commander X from British Hurricane, and they
They
also
signed,
signed.
Oh yeah, that would be sealing the deal, isn't it?
No.
Because was it General
And the
Manager as
General-
well?
You're
Yeah,
Reprise. Yeah,
last
they
time.
signed Reprise and Commander X. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have this
They're asking for British Hurricane to come over.
And
They're
I,
asking for it.
You
they're
can't
just
ask for
wait.
it
They're just
twice.
waiting for the players in British Hurricane to turn 18. They're probably just waiting for Spark Hard to just turn 18, and then they'll sign British Hurricane.
But Sparkheart doesn't
But-
turn 18 till like in June next year, so he will be
Yeah.
one of those announcements you make, like Sparkle, where he will be 18 next year, and
Yeah.
everybody's gonna be excited about him and the playoffs potential.
But yeah, no, I like this idea of London Spitfire going EU. I think that there's not enough EU squads in the Overwatch League. Like, you know, much as how I love the Korean scene, especially in contenders and all that, it's just that I think that EU needs some representation in the Overwatch League. And, you know, I mean, Americans already have all their. I mean, look, if we look at the Gladiators, that's going to be a good pickup as well if you want to talk about American talent.
Yeah,
But
we
we'll
can't delay
move
it
on
much
to that a little
longer.
bit later.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
but
London is a team that's gonna need one more year to. It's either 1 or 2 more years. I have many fans that are London. I have many friends that are London fans saying like this team is not gonna be good for at least 1 more year.
That is true. Yeah,
We're talking
they're
about
really.
trying to really
They-
understand how to make a
They
good
need
roster.
that. If they bring in British Hurricane, those guys are. This is probably gonna be a moment where they're like, "Oh shit, we are not. Ooh, we're gonna get. Ooh, this isn't. We're gonna get rolled. We're gonna get rolled."
No,
I
I
feel
they're not gonna.
agree.
They're not obviously gonna think they're gonna get rolled, but they're gonna realize that this is not contenders. This is where the big boys play.
Yeah.
This is where the big boys play.
I mean, EU contenders actually.
Maybe I think it will be a wake up call.
Yeah,
They're beatable. Obviously,
I
They're
think this is a.
budget-
Yes. Sorry, I was about to say to you. I think this is a good year for contenders. So it's like people moving up for graduating. I think this is a good year to enter, because I think a lot of the old guards stepping down, or at least changing. You know, or at least
the veterans.
yeah, the veterans are giving space. Right? So I think that there's movement for an entire contenders team just being shifted upwards. And I mean, there's already been rumors of like some contenders team joining the Overwatch League.
O2
Now-
Blast.
Yeah, just as a team, it's as a franchise itself. So we know that they're ready. It's just that if they're gonna sustain the pressure of like, you know, whenever the homestands come back, we'll see. But
It's a-
I agree with you that like
It's
takes
a
a
wait
year.
and see thing. It's
Yeah.
a wait and see. But I have a team right below them that has definitely been DPay's the Mad Lad's been doing it again.
shall we move to the Gladiators then?
Let us begin.
Where do we even begin?
Well, let's just start with who is signed in order. Muze, who we all thought was gonna go to the Paris Eternal, then said nope, going to the Glads.
Let's
Arguably
go.
the best main tank coming out of contenders. If you have arguments for Mag, who we can also
Yeah, it
get
was
to.
actually should be coming up, but yeah, go ahead.
But Muze, Moth, Shu.
Shu, my boy, he's moved from the cyan to the purple. The House of Purple with Moth in Toronto esports
So
fashion.
they also need to get rid of OG since they just said happy birthday and then they said goodbye.
Have they?
Wait, has OG gone?
He's gone.
What?
Okay.
This
Okay,
is an
so-
exciting
He's
change of
gone.
pace.
Okay, yeah. I thought OG was still. Oh, I didn't even hear that. I thought OG was still sticking around.
But how does a starting lineup of Birdring, Kevster, Muze, Space, Shu, Moth?
This will be a tighter team than what we got this
This
year.
will be the best Gladiators team, hopefully, ever.
For
This will be the
sure.
best
Working
Gladiator.
without shares and
But
Big Goose would take a hit,
there's
but I
there's
think they'll
one
work it out.
glaring weakness. Now, don't come at me, Gladiators fans. I think Deepay needs to be fired as a head
Not even,
coach.
he's not even a
Oh.
player on this roster. You're calling out the coach.
You're calling out the
That is
coaching staff of the
doubling down, man.
Gladiators?
I think
Doubling
he
down on the
could
OG
be.
stuff.
I think he needs to be put in a general manager position, not a head coaching position. I think he's not a great coach. He's very average. He makes very questionable decision making. The play style the Glads had last season was really up and down. I honestly think they need an upgrade at head coach. I do not want to see this team as the Atlanta Reign. I do not want to see that with this team because we all know how important coaching is. You cannot star players cannot do well without a plan.
Well, I
like-
hope you're not disregarding the kind of work there as a general manager. Sure, it's a
Yeah,
tight
as a
team,
general
but
manager, but
Brenda
not as a head
Suh-
coach.
Brenda Suh is going to be a good complement to this team, coming also from ex-Guangzhou Charge. And she's got a lot that she can bring up with this team that Deepay is probably lacking, or what he's been managing.
I mean, do
so
we
he can do
agree
more
that
strategic focus.
Deepay is
Look
not
inward.
a fantastic head coach? He's not great.
I think he's a capable head coach. He can build
I
himself
think
up.
I would rather imagine packing 10 on the Glads. You swap packing 10 and Deepay. Which team is doing better?
Which team would do better in a Brig 1v1 online?
I do want to say I love the banter that Deepay and packing had because Deepay was talking so much shit on Twitter to packing 10. And then packing 10 said, we finished. It was like, packing 10 was like, look at the standings.
Is this contenders
Look at,
trials? Is this
no, this
Contenders
was
Trials?
this
Wasn't
year.
that who
This was
joking?
this year. This
Yeah.
was this year.
No, he
they had
pulled
a
up the
beef.
results of like the top 5 teams in NA, and he's just sitting there high up on, I think it was top 4. So you can
No,
imagine how much he could
the
just sit on
LA
on his high ground.
LA, I think, eight overall. Glads finished like 11th.
Yeah, so they only barely
Ugh.
scraped top 12.
And the
but
Glads got
across
knocked out
NA
earlier.
Yeah, so across the America-only standings, they were already quite sitting comfortably at the top 5. So I think they had
Yeah,
every reason to be able to brag about how
Deepay
well
is-
they use their money this year.
This roster is gonna be so good. I mean, I can't be the only one concerned for coaching. Deepay is not an answer at head coach. He's a great general manager.
And great guy. Let's not forget that.
He's a great guy, but if you're not
mean-
like a Moon, a Rush, a Krusty, or even a Packing 10 or a KDG, kind of average at sometimes. I think even London has better head coaches than Deepay.
Would reprise the commander but how much like weight do you put onto the coaching staff for the LA Gladiators? Because like, okay, the previous support lineup was Big Goose and Chaz, right? And they upgraded it for Moth and Shu.
Boy,
Do you think
these
that like that enough should already be like even with Deepe as the coaching staff, I think that LA Gladiators already moves up at least 3 on the power rankings on the entire Overwatch League, just on that support lineup alone.
I think top 5.
Yeah, well,
3 is. I mean, okay.
no, I mean moving
right
3
now-
positions up. I mean like from where they
Okay.
were currently at, right?
I would say currently, like as of right now, the top 3 teams in NA in no order are Dallas Fuel. Wait, are Dallas moving to APAC? There has been reports of teams that are going to be moving to APAC.
I don't
this
think
is-
that's how it should work, but yeah, okay, sure. Let's call it
I'm-
that because they are in the Pacific Division. They still might want to
the-
maintain the 10-10 split.
There's actually been reports of both LA teams, the Shock, the Glads, and Vancouver moving. over to
This time they
APAC.
won't implode, so that should be good.
Well, we'll have
They
to
come
see
back
because
to-
it all depends.
Yeah. So
Oh.
okay, top 3 teams in NA as of right now are Shock, Glads, and Dallas. Those are the best teams in NA
This is
right
a
now.
power ranking based off of no matches that we've been able to see. It's just with the rosters
mean,
they have. And on
okay.
paper, they look really, really good. But others
The only
aren't
team
even
you can
complete.
theoretically trust to be in the top 3 is the Shock at this moment. Like it's the only team that you can like be like, oh yeah,
Well,
top 3.
look,
like
we're trying to peg them
like
down
these 2
throughout the
teams, we need to
season.
see them play.
I
I
thought
was
they were still
expecting
mortal.
them.
This San Francisco shot roster was
Obviously,
the
they're
Valley
not-
and Philadelphia. in
they
the
are
regular
beatable.
season, and they're definitely beatable.
Okay, the Glad's LA thing was a really bad read on the meta, but yeah, we were. But when we're beatable. Like we are obviously not immortals as we were in season 2.
No,
but-
the Immortals is the LA Valiant. Sorry, I thought the guys could get that.
I got that. But anyway,
horrible.
I've talked much about the Glads. If you 2 want to take reins on it, do some thoughts on them.
I'm alright.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think Gladiators got a really good lineup for this one. Like it's a pity for Big Goose. The man was like, he was core in the Overwatch League during season 1, season 2. The man was a great personality. It's sad to see him retire, but I mean, in terms of Gladiators on the current rosters, picking up Moth, just insane. I don't know how much they had to pay to sign off
Big
Moth from
money.
the Shock. I mean, like,
Big money, probably.
I'm just like the guy's support play is probably going to at least enable their. I'm sure Space is going to be happy as hell to have Moth as his main support. So it's just going to be, yeah. I think Gladiators
yep.
are going to have a good upcoming season.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just
so-
picturing in an alternate universe, LA Gladiators are like this very guerrilla camp sort of organization, and they managed to get Shu at a really good deal. And we're talking, he must have been very high on the market as well as a leaving 2-year contract kind of guy who's being on free agent. And so they just kind of kidnap Shu. Then they send a very bloody scripted looking letter to Moth and say, we have Shu. If you want to save him, join our team. And he was just more than compelled to make sure that they can just win another championship, but he has to do it on a different team. That is the only obligation he's doing.
Yeah.
This.
Did you just say they need to win another championship? When the hell did the Glads win anything?
They
But
have
Shu
to because
has won an accolade already, so he's bringing that over to the Gladiators and making sure that he can do that all on his own.
Are you talking about champion? Because I thought you were saying Glads.
No,
need to
sorry,
win another
Gladiators as a championship
I was
team.
like,
Listen, we're talking about a time when Fissure was a player in the scene that you could say is a high target for being signed again.
oh,
No, not anymore. Not with all the chances that
poor Fissure.
that he was last on. coming
How
in
did they
with another
convince
chance.
Muse then? How did they convince
How did they
Muse?
convince Muse?
Yeah, how did they? I'm asking you.
They said we had
Right.
Decay. We won't let you down.
If
I'm
they
not going
find
to
a
elaborate
way,
story from Muse,
they
unfortunately.
better not do a roar with Muse. I will be so mad if they do Muse wrong. I'll be mad.
But
I
you're
was gonna
really
say that. I'm gonna say
telling me-
that. Not
If
any
they really don't
players,
continue
like,
with OGE though, that's where I'm really confused. I've got no
they're
announcement.
not.
I've looked up.
No, he's retired. Well, he didn't. No,
has
he hasn't
retired.
retired.
Will
He
retire
they released him.
to free
They've already
agent.
confirmed that yes, he is a free agent.
Yeah, so he's still up
You
in the
can
running
go to
for a
their
more team.
Twitter.
Mhm.
Go to their Twitter. He's
That's
been
all I
released.
needed to know. Okay. It was not a proper announcement as of now, but I'm sure he's looking to jump on that bandwagon. It's been inconsistent when people have been put onto free agency and then given the official departure or farewell post. And I guess that's more of a time constraint thing, less so because they didn't have any sentimental reasons not to.
All right. That's the big those are the big boys out of the way. All the big boys. Let's go. You know what? Let's go alphabetical order now.
Okay.
Go to the rain.
See what's going on in the Atlanta Reign.
Mhm.
If I remember correctly, they dropped their entire roster at one point, right? During the roster apocalypse, was it?
They dropped. They just got
Fire,
rid of
Poco, FRD,
empty.
Saucy. Oh. Well,
So-
of course, I'm
so-
surprised that Ursa and Dogma are on this list,
I
but
meant sorry, not the entire roster. They dropped a lot of people.
they did
Every
drop
there's
a
like
couple
a
of key players on this list.
yeah.
They got rid of loose weight that they didn't need. They got rid of weight that they didn't need.
I don't know much about the Reign though. I feel like I like.
Imagine OG to the rain wouldn't be a bad idea. He could be a good backup to Gator.
Mm.
Now let's talk about the bird in the room here, Pelican.
Hey, Pelican.
How are they going? How are they going to ruin another flex DPS? How are they going to ruin him?
I don't think it would be so much that they ruin it, it's just that they still don't have a plan around how to maintain their star Korean talent. And if Pelican's not the one that's going to start with a splash, at least if he goes through a bump in the road, I hope that he's got his own personal mechanicals that he can work on, or personal mental, should I say. Not the mechanicals, that he can really use to build others around him and not just himself. I think it's just a mental that it is a Western rostered team predominantly. And so as a Western team, grinding is not considered ideal as far as working on your game. Most of the talent that I've seen, they report playing many hours into the night and is considered grinding or practicing. He would definitely be the kind of player that might see a bit of improvement in himself, but not in others the same way. And that can be the conflict that most of these players go through. If we see Elris and who's the other Korean player? Just Pelican.
Edison, who's
oh yes, Edison. There he is. Mister Immortals.
Edison and Pelican sounds really gross. In a good way. That's gross.
I think it would be really good.
But you want to know who they still have as a head coach? They got Brad.
Seffi.
They got Brad. Did they re-sign Seffi? If they did, please tell me God they did not re-sign Seffi. I will lose it if they have re-signed Seffi.
Brad, isn't it? His tag name is Seffi.
I do gotta say though, they have made the smart moves of getting rid of most of their coaching staff. Now, are they Pepega for not picking up Junkbook 9K or Iraq? Or KDG? Yeah, they're kind of Pepega. They have money. They have money.
Does Rain have money? Who are they being?
Yeah, they have money. Do you know how much they spent on their roster last season?
Yeah, and look what happened to them. It didn't give them any. It didn't give any return at all.
I have no indication if their spending is as valuable as say, or efficient as the Guangzhou Charge.
Yeah,
they're spenders. Atlanta Rain are spenders. Atlanta Rain are spenders. They have ties to FaZe. Well, FaZe doesn't.
Yeah, FaZe Grand. Yeah, of course they got the money. I'm just saying it's like after like the amount of effort bringing in like all the talent from last season, then having to just figure out like this is gonna be our.
Maybe this team is gonna do better if they can develop Hawk correctly, make Masa look good again, develop Gator. Iris looks good. If Iris looks good,
then yeah.
I don't see a problem with this team being ranked top 8. They just need to They just need to add the right pieces.
At the moment, though, they're sitting in the lower half of the standings for me.
That is a very middle of the pack team. It is very middle of the pack at the moment.
You think they could get some upsets though?
I don't know if they could be
any team that has a better record than them. Yeah, that's an accomplishment.
That's not an upset though.
It's just
If you
them.
can see any upset potential, maybe Washington.
They're the gatekeepers.
They've taken
of
out
yeah.
York
Overwatch League.
Excelsior many times in the past where it was not in their favor, but they had FRD back in the day, and people just questioned, why did you feel FRD? Oh my god, not Darko. This is a team that can have some elements of surprise going in, but because it is such a consistent roster that they're going to have, if it looks like this, coming into the start of the season, I think they're going to stay relatively within check and be gatekeeping the bottom 8 teams if we have a top 12 set up for the playoffs.
Yep. All right, let's go to the team below them.
Oh, Boston Uprising,
I'm
my
sorry.
favorite team.
Who?
Ah, yes.
So they announced the departure of Jerry, and they picked up the half the pro god himself.
I am
37.
Uh,
But
This
they
man,
also re-signed Color Hex.
because why not? Gotta
I
get some
mean-
Kiwis in the chat.
I'm just gonna be real. Like the people here in Boston Uprising, they're just here because they just, Boston Uprising is the only team they can sign with. Right? It's like,
I mean, they have a new head coach
yeah, but I'm just,
who's really good, and they have a player from the same Phoenix. That's what they're called, Phoenix.
Yeah, WGS Phoenix. This
Yeah,
is,
they have.
Iron 37's. He was put on loan during the finals in the regular season, I believe, of Korean
And
contenders. And
I'm
so he looks very
37 looks
solid.
good.
Yeah, we're not even joking around that one. He's just looked solid, more so than you would have ever seen in the last year's time during Toronto Defiant. It just wasn't the same roster that he was working on, and being someone who can fluidly go between English and Korean, there's no reason why you wouldn't consider signing him.
Yeah, there's not really much to go about on Boston. I'm 37 is a good pickup. It
they're
seems
still
like
missing
they're-
a support though.
Yeah, they need a main support. I mean, unique, eighth. Those are always options. Like, I
What was the
know.
last one? 8, did you say?
Faith.
Faith. Who's Faith?
Yes. I know that I don't remember what team he's on. I just have heard and I've seen him play, and he's pretty damn good main support.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
bad with contender
Okay. No,
teams.
the reason why we're
names.
talking about WGS Phoenix in the first place is because Boston's got a whole new coaching head coach, and this guy is only like 24.
They still have Mineral, but
Young.
not as a coach.
Yeah, Mineral, no way. Let's leave it at that.
I
As far as
I wish they didn't
WGS,
drop.
I like the
I
whole
wish that-
relative unknown behind this
I
roster.
feel bad for Axiom. Axiom got
Axed.
poor Axiom. He got axed.
I can't say poor
But-
Axiom. It just wasn't gonna work out, and he found the hardest way ever to do that.
He should have left
Just
while he
stretching
could
the
have.
contract though, but you gotta let the money
Hey, you gotta
roll.
get that owl money. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You think Boston Uprising is gonna get above like last 3 in the power rankings right now?
I think if they make the rest, if they can, fill out their roster very well, I don't see why this team couldn't have their best season in a long time.
Well, yeah, but their best season in a long time isn't much to say, is it? Unless you're talking about the inaugural
mean-
season for the Uprising back when they still had much. Well, I mean, the Boston Uprising. I think as a team, it's just they messed
think
up so much.
Let's just think here. They have a new coach. They managed to keep their good young players. They bring in a fantastic scam player. They're keeping Color Hex, which is not deal.
They want a
But
Western tank line.
maybe they'll rejuvenate. Maybe the coach will rejuvenate life into Color Hex.
You don't think
but-
there's more concern for fusions?
I mean, I think Fusions is better than Color Hex. He does his job better. Doesn't look. He's a better leader.
Mhm.
He's the heart and soul of the team. I love
we
him.
see Aztec filling in the role of like a backup flex support over Myeongbong.
I don't know what they're gonna do with Aztec. That's the thing.
As long as he's in the Uprising Academy, you can't scrape off the thought of maybe bring more of the existing Academy team, like how these Academy teams should work. It's the case with most of the teams that we got coming up as well. Chengdu is one that's on that list coming next. On what kind of star players are we really gonna get in Asia?
Yep.
That's not.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with Chengdu. They haven't changed anything.
Yeah, I
They're
was
the
just like
same
Chengdu's
team.
just gonna be. They're
The
just gonna
same
be
exact
exactly
team.
if they can change maybe a little bit of their play. I don't know, coaching staff wise or I think Chengdu's great. It's just that they have this like weird.
They need a backup main tank. They need someone that can actually play Ryan Orisa.
You said it was
Very
weird. I
well.
call it unconventional, and that's definitely what this is. Every time I see Chengdu,
that
they're
is
not
what
broken,
they
but
are.
they need fixing somewhere.
Yeah, it's not like a player wise. I think it's just like maybe a year in the off, maybe just like training during the off season, and Chengdu's gonna be great because like they win. They win games
but
they're not supposed to win, which makes no sense.
They win games when the meta is chaotic as hell.
Yeah,
And you cannot rely on one meta like at all. You need to there's a reason there's a big drop off from teams. A great team needs to be able to adapt to the meta, and our players need to be able to play consistently till that meta changes. And then when the meta changes again, those players are ready. This team cannot adapt to any meta that doesn't involve chaos.
To break into the top 12, they are very meta dependent. But the fact that their coaching staff is still unchanged from season 1, yet they went through a dip where they signed Chen and Ray, and they could only go as far as like the 3 months, before the playoffs, and they got eliminated. And then they just said, no, we're probably fine with you guys. We'll just sign back our old guy, Rui, who needed the break just for due to health issues. So he hasn't left Overwatch, but he was off this team for parts of this year to take some R&R. And hopefully he comes back renewed and refreshed to put these guys into fighting form again. They seem to still have a level of, no, we're not completely incompetent, but when we are, we'll go absolutely ham. And they'll just be sitting a little too low on the roster for people's expectations.
and also to be honest, they are one of the very few teams that still run the entire Chinese roster. So
That's
it
right.
could be that they're probably not going to drop the entire roster only because of branding. Not really only because of branding reasons, but because a large majority of the fact is because of branding reasons. So, I mean, it's not like you can suddenly just bring in a Western player or bring in a Korean player, right? Like they're there because they're pretty good. They're like Chengdu wasn't bad last season. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like they won games when it's like extremely chaotic, but they still look good. It's just like maybe
one of the biggest factors of 2020 that we can totally scrape off, probably partially, is just how much of an impact hero pools had on this team. As soon as you put Wrecking Ball on the hero pool list, and you have to play a sub tank in Ating, who was fine on Winston. I think he was very talented on Winston for this team. Just trying to adapt or try to flex more out of Among. You could, but you couldn't really get as much capital as you would when he's not on a start playing his main supports, his main tanks. Supporting tanks is what I was going for. He plays more the offensive, and to lead like that is really impressive and really unique to the Overwatch League in general, just to see more variety in strats. But it's not worth just having to have this roster in its current standing without a few improvements.
what I'm actually pretty sad to see is Bacon Jack retiring because the man was he was
all right.
So
Taiwan underrepresent.
Yeah, that first from that, and also it was just like a joy to watch play like on Chengdu's. Like his DPS, like it was fun. Also, the fact that the casters had to say Bacon Jack it just cracks me up each and every time.
Yeah, I was still getting into some of these live watch parties, and anytime Chengdu would appear, I'd convince them there's some really great talent in here, like Kyo, Valto, Elsa, Latiyung, and then Bakon-Yaku.
Bakon-Yaku.
Silent J.
Oh god. But yeah, no, I think Chengdu is like, I think if they can get a little bit of their, like if they can do some organizational or maybe some strategies mix up, I think they're gonna be all right. Like middle of a pack team, you'll occasionally see them in the top 10, top 8, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit of a stretch to say top 8, but I would love to see them in top 10 standing if they're compelling enough to stand by and be resolute with what they have and try and go the distance with them a third time round. Most of these guys are probably on a player contract that's almost forever at this rate.
Yeah, I mean. All right, so that's all right. Who wants to start off with the mayhem?
I mean, I have nothing bad to say about them.
But nothing good with where they are right now. BQB,
They're
Gargoyle, they dropped
fine.
Fate just recently.
Saya players going with face clan.
Why is this one indicated to be Valorant? Oh,
Just saying.
I
It's
mean,
interesting.
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Fate hurts, but for them, but let's be honest, it's
'Cause who you gonna
not that
sign?
bad.
There's some certain uncertainty that we feel that I'm sure that our good pal who's in the coaching sidelines, Kuki, would love to be able to give us some details on, but it's only between him and the rest of his coaching staff that will know what's going on now. It's completely down to them to give us some news or some juice over the next 2 weeks, or we'll just hear all about it in the last week before Overwatch League comes back in 2021. And it seems like a team that Albert Ye would like to keep a secret where he wants to go. But keeping Gangnam Gym, Gargo, and Yaki sounds about right.
It's gonna be like a dark. It's gonna be a dark horse. It's gonna be a dark horse. Florida Mayhem's gonna be a dark horse. Where depending on who they pick up, I think it's gonna be like, they're gonna like we're not gonna know about this until probably at the end of the off season.
Florida is a team that needs to just make a few more moves to be in contending status. There are a few pieces off. If they get Sanguinar, that'd be Pog. That'd be super Pog.
I'd just like to
Oh wait, I
remind
can't
everyone.
say that. That's racist.
I'd
can't
like
say
to
Pog.
remind everyone that yeah, this is a team that we're thinking very seriously as like a definitely way better than top 10 these days. Before, this is, you know, the joker of the team, the one that was unconventional. It didn't look like they took the game seriously, but when you have an all-Korean roster, now they're really getting themselves into gear, and they finally kind of clicked it because they've spent all year really making sure their integration was smoother than it was when it happened during the middle of Season 2, and they dropped these Western players, great talent, just to sign what felt like the last thing you want to do for branding, to go into that Korean roster talent. I don't have much more to add to Florida Mayhem, but you know, this is pretty much a sibling to the same solution that we have with Washington Justice, having an all Korean roster and having that changeover during the year.
This team will be fine, in my opinion. They just need a main tank. They need a main support and just some backups. They're gonna be fine. They have great coaching. They have great management. Florida fans, yeah, you missed out on getting Muze. You failed to get Mag, but Albert did say on stream. Someone asked, "Is the new main tank you're gonna get handsome?" He says, "Yes. All the players we get are handsome."
Oh.
That means maybe that means they already have someone in mind. I mean, when he was answering questions, he did say they're eyeing players. They've been eyeing certain players for a while. So all right, that's all I gotta say. I mean,
Yeah, I got.
I think the
not much
next
as well.
one.
We got
The
nothing.
next one is
Okay, that one's on you, Obi.
Hello
This is
there.
all you.
This is my guys, my boys. I want to say so much, but now that we've come through sort of around all these other teams, can I even start with the fact that Kariv is on this team before I even go to the even more talented individuals in Choi Se-hwan and MYKayleee, who's now going with, it looks like Miraculous Youngster KayLee, but based on my records, I don't believe he ever played with Miraculous Youngster, which is a whole bunch of the players over in Chengdu now. Kariv is looking for a redemption story. He's got great English and Chinese comms that will work fantastic with this team. But the biggest hole is, where are the English players? Is this just going to be a Chinese and Korean mixed roster?
Agilities. They
Are we
No.
going to get agilities by proxy?
Agilities on the charge?
No,
Yes.
you can't split Kariv and agilities.
And
It's
I
what the
agree, you
rules-
cannot split them, so why would they announce Kariv? They did this with agilities as well, so they've probably copied the exact same promotional strategy that they had on Toronto Defiant, and they will announce the biggest Western player on Weibo and Chinese social media. It's agilities. And you had other dudes like Dreamer, I think, or Gig. Yes, it was Gig. And Nero was alright, but if you're gonna pick anyone for the popularity from Western Overwatch, you pick up agilities. It's not so much as his performance. I think they just really like his looks. He does the blonde hair better, and he's just a shiny guy.
He's
the team.
he's also a really nice guy as well. Agilities is a cool guy. I think they need to like even if they don't play him, just keeping Kariv and agilities together. You need to.
I mean,
need
a lot
to
of
keep-
these storylines are now just about trying to tie some loose threads from other areas, because Kariv and Agilities have been playing together since Immortals and the LA Valiant duo. When I was looking for a team to join, when all 10 teams didn't really appeal to me anyways, I just wanted to watch for the Overwatch League part of it. The Valiant were a great home, and they just could not stop with all the kinds of stories they have about agilities with Kariv, or just Kariv. So I hope that this will become a more sociable roster as an outcome, not to the point where it's like Houston Outlaws, where they're just individual stars. This is a team that's already built already with the guts, with Rio and Krong, and Eileen will make this still a very competitive team. And to keep that going though, without a Chara or a Shu, is concerning. Until I know more about this main support here, I can't say that this is a fleshed out roster with.
Mandu.
Yeah, okay, wait.
Sorry,
Take that
that's-
Mandu.
Hell,
Wait, Mandu joined the shock though. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
he
No,
joined
he
the shock,
didn't.
man. Didn't you read?
No, he
Yeah,
didn't.
I read that
Kachachi,
right,
Mandu,
didn't
Kim.
you?
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, Dexerto, apparently they're off on their game
Thanks,
today.
Dixer. So you guys are really
Yeah.
onto it with the news when they come, but you also
Mandu
I need to
free
call
agent
you
for-
out for the whole hoax thing with the
Yeah, what?
incident over at one of the
No.
game publishers at EA in Toronto.
Yeah, no, Mandu joined the Guangzhou Charge. Okay, that's weird.
Thank you.
Okay.
I didn't realize I was gonna forget midway through the podcast, but this is the one that I'm looking forward to. Chara and Kariv. Can that work? I think it could, but not
Chara's
Chara.
gone.
Mandu is one that's gonna have to really warm himself up. He looked like he was still not quite feeling it on York Excelsior, and so to bring him
Oh,
on this
what?
team, it's his redemption arc to really shine as a main support that can really flesh out a team that's still very young, but Krong and sorry, that is just Krong at this point. Krong and Rio. MYKayleee is a fantastic DPS. One of the many stories we've had with him is that he made Carpe look a little sus on him because he outplayed him on a competitive ladder. And there's just footage of him just completely sniping out the crap out of Carpe on his days off, which would be awesome if we see that every time that he places Guff against another Widow. And I think
Carpe
he's just going to be a
remembers.
great substitute for Happy. He's not happy, but he makes me very MYKayleee. That doesn't make any sense now, but it will soon.
Wow.
That was horrible, but I
That
support you the entire time. Obi.
Also,
My man.
speaking on Happy is gone. He's not coming back. He's been reported to go to the Houston Outlaws.
There goes
Is
my
he-
Happy
Ooh, that's-
jersey.
That's going to be a when you get to the Outlaws part, that's gonna be a big talk.
Yeah, big talks.
There's not much to talk about.
I mean, no, but like it's just gonna be like
Good
him moving.
discussion.
Yeah,
Good
it's gonna be a
discussion.
discussion.
All right. Then wait, did you want to cover Troy Ozen? You didn't really say much about
I
him.
haven't followed Choi Sei-hwan closely enough, but this is a guy that I believe, no, he didn't, his previous team wasn't Guangzhou Charge. That would be Element Mystic. Yeah,
Is
I
his
haven't
name
watched
just
him very
reversed?
closely.
Yes, it is. It's
That's how
choice
most of the Korean names do go
Yeah.
by. So Choi Sei-hwan, remember there's an H, and yeah, Hwan in Korean. It's spelled
Chosen
HWAN quite
Wan.
often. Yeah, think of the H as meant to be capitalized, but it's
Alright.
written SEH. That's the
Alright.
easiest way to follow that naming scheme. That is the last name followed by the first name.
All right, let's go to the better Chinese team,
I
the
disagree.
Spark.
I strongly disagree. Have you looked at
They
this performance in
have
2020?
they have let go of QOQ, and they have picked up Shy.
Shy. Long
Shy
time no
is.
see, my
I
friend.
mean, Shy's he was either going to the Sparky, he was going to Chengdu. It was one of those two teams. But this is a big pickup. Now, and they still have Godsby because they said they did not plan on getting rid of Godsby when they brought in Shy. Shy's a hit scan player, right?
Yes.
Ooh, Shy and Architect.
Oh, that's actually going to be really interesting. Yeah, putting
They
them together.
still have IDK, so IDK and Coldus and Mika, solid support line. Now
I still think
obviously,
Gushue is a great tank too.
I
So.
think
Yeah, let's
I
not
think
forget,
they're
Gushue
gonna
just been probably
need.
Yeah.
shafted most of the year.
I think the Spark are gonna go after a Chinese off tank, so comms are better with Gushue. I think that's what they're going to do. I think like Gushue has obviously probably learned a bunch of Korean. Like he knows how to speak probably a little bit of Korean, but he probably wants a tank partner that speaks Chinese. Like I'm not like big into the Chinese contender scene, so I don't know who are great Chinese off tanks. But I think it would be a very smart decision to get Gushue a Chinese
An off tank.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, with the way that I don't know if assuming the meta still stays together, yeah, I think communication is going to be pretty like the off tank communication is going to be pretty important. That's assuming we're still sticking with this weird hog, not weird, sorry, this hog. Well, it's either going to be Hog Hammond or Hog
Sigma.
Sid Zarya.
Sigma.
Yeah, Hog Sigma. Hog Sigma, yeah, sorry. I was about to say Zarya. No, that's ladder. No, the Hog Sigma.
Mhm.
It's going to be good to have a Chinese off tank. I was about to say there's no free agent in the Chinese scene, right? They're all signed up either with Chengdu, Guangzhou, or the
doesn't mean
mixed
a team can still offer a player a contract.
Yeah, that is true. So we might be looking at the trading stages, but I don't think any of the teams are going to go look for trades.
I just think it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
to get a
If you're
Chinese
looking at their
off-tank.
former players roster for Guangzhou Charge again, I still think there's probably not a lot to be too worried about, but of course Nero is probably looking Western, happy looking Western. If we're Outlaws, I'm not going to cut that out. I think that would be really nice for them. Hangzhou, with the players who've left, Ardo,
Yep. Speaking
he
of
ends his
the
career from the looks of
yeah.
it if he's not being picked up anytime soon.
Yeah, he's a coach for the Fuel.
Oh,
Coach for the Fuel now.
one day,
He is.
Ardo.
Oh, that's Aid. I was thinking of Aid.
Yeah, it's very easy to
Oh,
get the two
yeah.
confused. You got the
Pega,
wrong vowel
two
with the
two
ordering.
head.
Okay.
But
Okay.
speaking of Houston, we have the depressing roster below them.
It's a
They
pretty shallow
re-signed
roster.
Boink. What do they see? What is if
I
Junkbug
told you
can
it was
make
fake
Boink?
last episode.
It's real. No, it's
No,
real.
they did actually resign him. God damn.
Can someone give me logic? Why did they drop Linkser?
Free agency.
It's old.
With what
Just
they were
why
comparing with, you have to
I
watch
think
a...
I think he also wanted to leave as well. I don't think he wanted to come back.
No, from the wording, it didn't seem like that was the case. Like, he seemed really
Alright,
scared
I
and
have
excited
an-
about the future. So he just wants
I
out if the team has been this disheveled to him. Getting new talent, new experiences.
I
that
have an
Houston Outlaws.
inside source who has talked to Linkser before. Linkser was apparently like he was kind of expecting it, to be honest. He expected it to get
And a
dropped.
contract expires,
And
and
it-
there's another 2 years.
Yeah, he expected it. It obviously kind of pained him, but it's a business at the end of the day.
That's because I'm just looking at Houston Outlaws not really hard for money. I mean, they haven't had any good showings recently. I just don't understand why they drop Links because that leaves Dante as their own DPS. So are they really
They have
is it exactly
hydration.
what you said, Obi, where they're gonna bring in Happy?
Yeah,
I mean, most
I'm
likely,
quite
and they have
high on the
Dunkbug.
possibility of Happy getting enough value, and that there's just been a really good tracker, the source, because Any Ming, the chief operating officer, the Guangzhou Charge, if you've not read any of his Medium posts, about the Guangzhou Charge and how his experience has been throughout the year during lockdown. He's made some great articles that are really good reads on just what Guangzhou Charge was like during Summer Showdown. For this in particular, Happy was interested in moving out to a Western roster, and Houston Outlaws fits that bill really well, where it's not too alienating if they have someone like Meko, but it is a place for him to really test his mettle. I thought we were expecting to have, Dante, if he's still on this team, by the time
Yes, he's
they
been
start.
re-signed.
Yeah, he's definitely re-signed. I think this is going to be a very exciting team to
I think
try and check out.
I think Dante gets not talked about a whole lot because he's on a bad team. People seem to really forget how good Dante is. Now, I think he's like a low A, high B type of flex DPS because I think he can just. I think he'll be good if they get Happy. If they get Piggy, that's cool. It's cool.
They should just re-sign Jake at this point. Take him away from the desk, Like, he's still good enough to actually still play. I mean, like, if you were to put Jake in this roster, Jake and Dante? Come on.
All right, I think this is kind of just like a quick team we can go to, the Defiant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Also,
guess so.
It's a pity that Rock is retired.
Yeah.
Lots of really good players are.
Well, Rock is good players, kind of.
No, but like, there's a lot of like people that were there during the league, during the start of the league.
Wait, MYXL.
MYXL. Oh, NYXL then.
Yeah.
Oof,
so
that's.
They have. But look at Paris. Look at Paris. They have no.
Speaking of teams that have dropped a lot, let's before we move on to Paris, let's go with NYXL then. Sabiobi, Libero, Jonak. Of course, they're never going to drop Jonak. They're never going to drop Sabiobi. That's just.
Yeah.
They come with the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they sure do.
Who do they pick up then?
Yakpung. DM. Yakpung and DM or Glister.
Yakpung is a strange one though, because he has
a strange one.
He's
Yakpung's been destroying.
Because I would say he is probably on par with Mano with where he could really fit and capitalize, but I haven't seen enough of that performance of him in O2 Blast to really say he's gonna be the exact thing you want to win. You want him on a winning team. This guy is your man, but I personally have doubts about that. But all the records say otherwise.
DM or Glister wouldn't be a bad pickup either. They need a hit scan player. They have Libero. So
I get this weird feeling it's only a matter of time when New York, right now, they've not had to worry about it. They've been a great Season 1 contender and a high performer. Season 2, they've held up really strong, but just didn't have anything in preparation for the finals. Season 3 has just kind of just been the winning.
They're a good regular season team.
Yeah, you've seen the drops, and they were bound to happen if you had to make the really hard decision of changing up your style, which it didn't really happen, even with Hangzhou. So him retiring as a result of that is what's really, really unfortunate with the careers of these players. I think it is a time bomb until they become a Western roster that really fits their identity even more. But they're also running it pretty good here, so I wouldn't be afraid of it happening anytime soon.
Who'd they sign? They signed a coach? No, they released someone. Stephen Kim? That's his name?
Yeah, that came up very recently, didn't it?
Like, literally today, I believe.
This morning. Steven, the player manager. Yeah, you gotta have a player manager to make sure they're comfortable with life around New York, but if you're not doing a homestand, you're just playing online, probably there's going to be very little need for that because it's not required to be a full-time role.
I need to see. I just need to see what this team does more.
They're doing.
I can't give really a full opinion.
I think it might not look like it, but there could be budget in terms of.
Yakpung and DM wouldn't be bad pickups if you ask me. Those will not be bad pickups.
Get them some DM. Yeah.
All right.
I was just looking at.
What do you think, Poxy?
No, I'm just looking at like who they dropped in the NYXL, right? They dropped Who Are You, Bianca,
Hotba.
And then I'm just like Hotba. I'm just trying to figure out why. If it's really just budgetary reasons, then they're gonna
Maybe
end up.
they're still on win now mode probably.
Yeah,
They
Give
probably
them
don't
the
want to have to
time to
develop
flip
them.
the roster. I wouldn't be afraid if you still got some of your key players, and then they still trust in Libero. Sabiobi Libero is a great duo. Time to bring them back.
Yeah. No, it's just like I'm trying to figure out like they're gonna end up either re-signing. They're either gonna end up re-signing late, or they're gonna start picking up people for Korean contenders.
I'm afraid if
'Cause I'm
they
just-
do that, yeah, they're not going to have many honestly good pickings. They might be surprised
Yeah.
they still get a few that because this is still
'Cause-
an expanded pool
Yakpong
now
is
of
still-
free agents and players from
Yeah,
contenders.
'cause-
So they've got some
'cause that-
chances, even if they
I
miss
still
the valuable
think
signings.
Glister and Yakpong, I do predict Glister and Yakpong to go to the MYXL. I believe both of those players will go.
So I'm trying to figure out the
Oh,
narrative.
they also
of what,
need an off tank.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out the narrative of what they're trying to build here in NYXL. It's like
Maybe they're trying to go back to that passive playstyle they used to
But
play.
if you wanted the passive
I can see
playstyle,
them.
why don't you bring back all the players from that passive playstyle movement?
They probably want
They just
to
can't
change it
quite-
up.
Arc retired. Janus has kind of just faded into obscurity after Washington Justice move. And we know Mano's going to Philadelphia Fusion and Mandu is on the charge.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't do much with Who Are You. That's unfortunate. Bianca, I'm really surprised out of all of those that have been dropped. Nene, I think
Yeah, I mean,
they
when
gave
you
him
got-
a fair go. And he
yeah, I mean when you
did
got Sabio and
devastating,
Libero,
right?
yeah,
On paper,
it's
you've
like
got the players that you need on
Yeah.
DPS. Adding more to it,
Like-
that has to be really special.
I just don't know why they dropped Bianca. I don't know why they dropped Bianca, and I don't know why. I mean, Hotba I can see, but like, I don't know. They should have kept the tank at least just to have a good 6 because they're if it. I honestly don't know if it's by budget reason or because of its lineup issue. Because I don't know. NYXL could have had a chance. It's just maybe
I've got 3 words for you.
shoot.
Sign, Pine.
Oh yeah, he's out of retirement, isn't he?
This is a strange
Like, he's
storyline if he
going-
comes back just
Isn't
to
he?
Excelsior. He
I
I
doesn't
thought
sound
no
like the
Pine
guy.
Pine is LF Pine is
Pine
LFT, isn't he?
Pine is the
Yes.
guy that you put on Houston Outlaws. If this
He-
happy
he is
stuff is all
not-
but a ruse.
He's not no team is picking up Pine. He's gonna grind it out in contenders maybe.
Well, he
and then
said he
get
wanted to
picked
come
up.
back as a support main, but I don't know in what kind of form would that have looked, because now he just wants to
Imagine
come back as
him on
DPS.
BAP. That'd be
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah, I'd
Be
be expecting him
disgusting.
spamming the voice like, behind you, just
Do we see Pine back on the NYXL? Big Daddy Pine himself?
No.
see him back on here?
Mm.
This would be a marvelous run it back.
No.
More harder than IM37 coming back by going into the Boston Uprising. So he
That is-
works that team up. I think Boston Uprising goes up a team like York Excelsior. If we're playing like this, with any last minute players that you can find, not even finding any qualifications to back
Goes
them up,
down.
this goes way down. It shoots down if they don't have it under control.
Yep.
All right.
Sorry.
No.
Skip him.
Well,
Sorry, the
Not
voice
even
in my
talk
mouth. Ugh.
yeah, there's
Nothing
nothing.
to
There's
talk
not. Yeah, there's
about.
nothing to talk about the Eternal. They're dropping their entire team because I'm guessing they just need the money. It's like they just
AVALLA
want-
they're-
becomes the DPS star. I'm not gonna lie.
They're
that would be pretty hard.
going budget mode.
yeah, they're going full budget mode. Because like initially, Eternal was talking about like, yeah, we want to have this French identity, but at the same time, we're bringing some Korean players, and I believed them at the beginning.
But
Like
now
I
it's
believed
starting-
in Paris Eternal's like narrative on like they want to be French, but at the same time, they want to bring in some Korean players. But now they just dropped everyone, so I don't even know who's on the team.
Look, if we disregard geographical thoughts and even taking this re-signing seriously, I would put AKM on this team. Man,
AKM?
You need to bring back some hit
AKM
stats.
soldier.
Look,
AKM, the man's currently in Valorant right now, bro.
Yeah, we can put him on loan, can't we? That's how Valorant and Overwatch is like. We're at peace
yeah,
with each other.
it,
We
Riot,
give them
Riot and
Overwatch
Blizzard
players,
can
they give
come
us
to an
Valorant
agreement.
players.
it's like you know how in like contenders Overwatch League you can have two-way players? Like it's just the same two-way except in two different games.
Yo,
Yeah.
Sentinels, we'll give you ons for a loan if you give us backs and after.
And just look, for some context, even I believe that could be a legitimate thing. You have someone on loan, like Sinatra on San Francisco Shock, just so he can actually talk trash to Overwatch League players for real and have some backbone behind it. Because if you
Hey,
see
don't
any-
say he doesn't have
Sorry,
backbone.
I need to go on this. I need to go off this tangent. I'll come back to their backbone later. But you have Tekken 7 players who also play professional Street Fighter. You might think they're nearly identical, but that's definitely not the case. Once you see these same players in different games can play competitively, they just happen to have the same boosts to be able to play them competitively. And if this is online now, what's stopping them from having to have like a side hustle in another game? And I'm not saying it's Valorant being the side game.
We can. That's a topic for another day.
Yeah, I'm willing to
Wait,
skip
what
on
do
Paris
you-
Eternal, though.
What do you
Yeah,
mean
let's skip
about?
it.
So everyone seems to get so mad when Sinatra says anything good about the Shock. When he supports them, they're like, "Bro, shut up." You
He
literally
knows
left
what
the
he's
team."
doing. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
I know
I-
that this guy might be young, but he's got the foresight of someone who knows how
He's
to
a
engage the
cheerleader.
Overwatch community.
He's a cheerleader.
Not
He's
for
a
Overwatch.
cheerleader.
It doesn't have to be a cheerleader for
For the-
Overwatch. He's not
he's a
obligated
cheerleader for
to
the
just
shot.
because he's got the MVP role.
He's obligated. I think he's obligated to talk as much shit as he wants to. He did everything in one season.
Yeah, it's true.
What
Yeah,
could you
I mean,
ask
Yeah.
for?
I'm not saying there's
He's-
anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's just how he gets people into Overwatch these days. You have to outrage the public.
exactly. Always go
Alright.
bad. But okay, just to move on to Eternal, I still believe that they can do the French thing, the French roster.
Oh
They
yeah,
just-
yeah. In all
Oh,
seriousness, a real
Three
French
of
talent
their
still
French
exists in this community.
players.
I don't know. I like
I
going
can name
for
two.
going with.
Imagine Best Poco FDGod soon. That's a good
Yeah, they're still
score.
keeping Poco, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, they don't have Poco.
On Philadelphia.
Oh no, they don't. They did.
I'm just
Oh.
thinking hypothetically.
Yeah, Fusion. They're keeping Poco for Fusion. 'Cause he's been
Yeah.
doing so well as a tank, so it's not like they're gonna drop him. Plus, they already have.
All right, let's skim
but
through
yeah.
and see who we have not covered, who's important.
We still haven't missed. Well, I
Shots.
Are you
mean,
talking about
wait.
orgs or players?
Players.
mean,
we,
Iori.
Valiant thing that happened a week ago.
I just wanted to say it's like them dropping MYKayleee, big loss to the brand.
That's a double
Bad.
dirty.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
like, I
Probably
mean,
not
they-
really one that
Like,
they
they
had
didn't
complete decision to keep.
Just keep him as like a good vibes guy, but so they
Still,
have,
it still comes
They're-
up with the Dennis Hawelke, what's it called? Curse. Every single player that's won that award has dropped. Has been dropped by their team. So
Seoul is cool. They still have
Oh.
their core. Oh, Shanghai. They
we'll
got
talk about
Fate.
Shanghai. Actually, this is a team in which I like. That's also gonna be interesting to see on the
I think
after the off season.
Fate and Fearless. That swap is something that is. I think Fate kind of lowers this team's ceiling just a little bit. Just a little bit lowers their ceiling. Because Fate is not. Fate can hold his own, but it's gonna be a interesting one.
I mean, with Void and Stand 1, though, do you really think Fate is going to be, like, he's going to be having that much pressure? I think that he's going to be
Probably.
alright.
He's coming in the place of Fearless, who was arguably
Oh.
the best main tank in the league.
Stan 1 has his place in this roster. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any concern.
He got
with the doubts
farmed
that
in the
people
grand
have put on here,
finals.
Mister
Oh,
Immortals.
He got farmed. He got really farmed. But I don't really have much
Dubious
to
at
say. I
best,
think
to say
Fate
as a farm.
Moon. Let's be honest here. Moon probably begged. He begged to get Fate because Moon loves Fate.
He has some very close. He might as well pay a high price for Kariv at this point because he really is in love with his old roster. He will
Aw.
not stop at a chance if he had the option to buy out all the players. that are
Moon
still
was
a team.
considered such a bad coach at that time. Now he's a good coach.
That was mostly of a negative social impression, but they still managed to bounce back on that really well because obviously he had the results to kick them. And the,
Also,
the ones that would say wrong to a guy who has yet to be tested. And if I can remind you, this is Coach Moon who would have left Overwatch for PUBG. I don't think
Oh.
that was the thing that he should have done, and I'm glad he didn't. It was all for the help of Mister Immortals. Big money.
I
guy.
honestly don't have much to say. They have their core. Like, they still have
They-
their core.
They do, yeah. Like, Shanghai Dragons is one of the few teams in which I understand why they dropped all their players. Not dropped, but, like, they didn't re-sign their players.
They got
didn't-
rid of loose weight.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, the idea of running the two roster style games of, like, yeah, I mean, like, they had how many players? They had almost 12 on their roster at one point.
But they
It's just
only
like-
they played almost all
Yeah.
of them, and they only took certain players out for
Yeah.
like fans.
Okay.
it's a it's a pity they moved Dia down to Contenders China because like he was I think the only remaining player from the 032
GaeBullSsi still counts
run.
in that sense, yeah. But Dia was the one who was originally signed, and I think when it comes to being the laughing
Dia
stock
was
of the
lighting it
Overwatch
up.
League, yeah, he has lit it up on the Contenders China. Not because his level is that good. He is good. We've just never gotten the validation that he thoroughly deserved. And we're talking about a dominant Chinese team on Team CC. That if he's not going to be back onto an Overwatch League roster, it's really down to him. There's nothing that another league or another
Like your
Overwatch
team could
League
be
season's gonna
horrible,
do
but
for
if you're
you.
playing like it's in contenders, it doesn't. If your team is being bad, but you're like consistently the best player on that team, you're playing good, and you're carrying them as much as you can, you will get recognized by an Overwatch League team.
Yeah,
If they
he
see
really. At this point in this stage in Dia's career, he really needs someone who can be a very valuable and a very honest talent scout for him if he wants to be able to be in the Overwatch League. I think the problem is that China's infrastructure for esports is good enough that you can now form a career, and there's potential professionals in that region that should be able to take you up. They just don't have the connections to be able to immediately jump you onto a Chinese roster. There's just not enough people in that talent pool to really just force him in there, because that's probably not what he wants to do. He just wants the offers to come to him. But this is still a professional career. You still have to make yourself known, not just by your reputation, but by your professionalism and getting those signings and deals to happen. And I don't know if he's asking for a lot of money. He could just be rather comfortable at just dominating.
It's just like, please give me anything.
No column to him. Contenders still doing pretty well.
Yeah, he still will. He's not going to be backing down just because he.
You need to who needs to pick up in this former player. So DM needs to get picked up by someone.
It said MYXL.
Hey, actually, DM to NYXL wouldn't be that bad. If they already have Libero and they already have Sabiobi.
Sabiobi, I think Libero's up. I think Sabiobi's kind of on a downhill trajectory, just a little bit. Not the same.
If there was one lifeboat and there are 5 people currently drowning, Dia, GaeBullSsi, DM Ding, and Lufing, I'd give GaeBullSsi a chance. I would put her on that boat. A sailor away to safety.
You think
I'm no simp, but as far as the branding goes, she can do it to anybody.
Yeah, no, the branding's good, but GaeBullSsi as both off tank potential. It's just the rest of the leagues like tanks. Speaking as a tank main, which is already as biased enough as is, right? There's just not enough tanks. There's just not enough tanks in the Overwatch League.
You're right. You're absolutely right. There's not enough tanks. So you gotta save the tank mains. People think this is just a gender thing.
Make new teams then.
But there's not enough good. There's just not enough good tanks.
It's not happening anytime soon. The budgets have been completely axed for every team.
You want to talk about having a new team? Look at Paris Eternal. They need a new team. Speaking of people,
they could pick up GaeBullSsi. I just don't know if they would.
Eternal
Oh yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think much as how GaeBullSsi would be great, and I think she's been doing so well in the with Shanghai Dragons during the 30 and 0 streak. The rest of the off tanks are outclassing her.
The 30 and 0 or the
0 and 30, the 0 and 30.
It's actually 0 and 42.
0 and 42.
42.
Sorry, I was only looking at season 1. Okay, you don't have to count season 2. I remember when they didn't win a single match in season.
They did win maps against teams like Philadelphia Fusion, but the fact that they even go as far as map 5 with them is kind of laughable at best. But that was a time when Neptuna was a battle mercy.
All right, Defiant. Literally, they got KG. They re-signed Logix. They let Beast go for 2 weeks, and then they brought him back.
The American Tornado just needed to win contenders. That's why. Yeah. Because American Tornado is doing well in the contenders, actually.
I think KDG already kind of. I think a player like Crimzo wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe bring back Ivy for redemption. He has actually, what I've heard? This is just not. It's not confirmed. A lot of people said, "What if Fury, Ivy, and Sato go to the Defiant because they really like KDG?"
They really like KDG enough
to go to the.
Yeah, I have to say this really slowly because I can't really
Ooh.
process what it is that implies. What else happened?
Logix and Ivy is kind of disgusting. That's disgusting.
Wasn't I? No, what am
Uh,
I thinking? Was it Ivy that was on this team in the
yeah,
beginning?
he was on that team. I mean, I was
Yeah,
thinking maybe.
resigning shouldn't be a real surprise at this point.
Also, Rourke has changed from a player to a
Retire?
coach.
No, yes,
Sure.
not retirement. He went to coaching.
Yeah,
so he's no
you
longer playing
jumped. You
support.
jumped the gun there. You were
Mhm.
you jumped the gun there.
You got me there.
Surefour and Nevix have officially are saying they are not quitting Overwatch. They are just taking a break.
That they shouldn't. I mean, sure for
Sure.
Nevix.
He's probably got
Surefour,
better
if I
things to
trust,
do than
I,
what's Overwatch
I
for.
think Surefour, honestly, Surefour always picks up stuff that no one, like, he picks up games so quickly. Like, when they were talking on Plat Chat about it, Surefour always is the one to pick new things up super quickly. Whether it's a new hero, whether it's a new, like, game, like, Surefour, they were saying if Surefour, like, if Overwatch 2 comes out and it really changes some things, Surefour probably gets re-signed to a team if he wants to come back and if he looks good again. And Nevix is the definition of class. I think Nevix is just, he's good, but he's not. Off tank is so good. So it's like, do you want Nevix going against someone like Krong or Void?
Nah.
He doesn't. He's just solid, but he's not good. He's not good enough, which is the sad part.
Sure. I'll give you that.
So I hope Cruz gets signed somewhere. I like Cruz. He's one of my favorite players. Cruz. No, Cruz. No, they have.
He's
Fuck.
feeding
Oh,
free
what if
agency.
Cruz? What if Cruz went to
Back to
Uprising?
Paris?
No.
Did it
Cruz on
Hurricane?
British Hurricane? No, did I just say British Hurricane?
London
British Hurricane,
Spitfire.
London Spitfire.
London Spitfire
Yeah.
Cruz. We're going full circle, baby. He's
Yeah,
always
I
wanted
would
to be on this
actually-
team with
that would
other
actually-
Koreans.
Do you think Nevix would also go to London Spitfire as well?
Is there off take on British Hurricane?
Yeah, I see this being a very probable thing. If they can't sign, who was it on LA Valiant? KSP? Because I
Yeah.
think he would be a
They're
really
not-
good placeholder for,
They're not.
just to have that happen.
SB
with the
resigned.
dream.
So
I
If
don't know, it could
not,
be a
they-
bait. I don't know
It's
if
not
he's
a
that
bait.
quick to retire. I really am just putting the doubt goggles and the doubt symbol on my head.
Titans, nothing to talk about.
Nope, they've imploded. They'll figure. Maybe
Justice-
they'll build
This
something.
is less of an implosion, but I'm seeing
Justice.
something there.
Justice. They signed Mag. They signed Jerry. They're
Jerry.
probably gonna release Decay. I think this is the end of.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. This is the end of the road for Stitch. This is the end of the road for
Here's the
him.
thing. Here's the thing. Right? Picking up Mag and Jerry, I think, was a great idea for Justice. Like Mag was doing so well at Runaway. If his contenders, what's it called? If his contenders skill is anything to go by, Justice did amazing pickup here. Jerry, I think, pretty good as a DPS. Why would they drop Decay?
They haven't.
No, they haven't. But do you think they would?
No.
No.
They re-signed him for. A
Oh, sorry.
reason.
I heard you say that. What's it called? I apologize. I misheard. I thought you said they wouldn't re-sign Decay. My bad.
Imagine
I
a world
just.
where Washington Justice didn't want
Yeah, I was
to
about to say,
Runaway
why
Tank
would they
with
not? Why
Decay.
would they not re-sign Decay? He's doing so well. Sorry, you mean Stitch was on the end of the road or Decay? I didn't hear you.
Stitch
There's
is
a-
on the end.
Stitch is on the end of the. Okay, never
There
mind.
is a lot of overlap between the then Runaway roster that had Stitch and Janu and Decay and Raw, who I do remember, and they were both in the grand finals for the Map 8 run in Contender's career. This is before season 2 rosters were announced, and we
So
were starting
Janu's
to
a
get
free
rumors of
agent,
Vancouver
so-
Titans existing.
So agent. They have not re-signed Janu.
Yeah, this is a
Ooh.
very solid Washington Justice.
They also
Mostly for the
released
history and
four.
the overlap between rivals. They're now playing with each other. It works
Stitch is
so
just. Stitch didn't look all that good up until the playoffs.
And the only
really
reason I
didn't.
see why is because Decay probably did something to slap him up sideways to make him play like he really meant it.
Jerry
During the
has
playoffs.
Stitch. We've already seen what Stitch can be. We haven't seen what Jerry could be. Jerry didn't
Jerry would-
look that on Boston.
there's
Jerry still has
been some little bright spots, right? But we're talking about in those really strange matches that happened this year, like the map 7 with
Jerry is
Shellos.
multiple. Stitch has already hit his peak as a player. I think Stitch is. I think this is a career end for Stitch. Sadly to say, no team needs him.
No, I object. It was just a all-Korean roster fix that does the trick. Just like when it was Fissure on Gladiators, he moves to the Seoul Dynasty. Seoul Dynasty didn't have what he wanted, so he then goes to Vancouver Titans as a all-Korean roster. That would have dominated if we lived in that timeline where that continued.
I for one am excited to see Decay and Jerry together and as the DPS lineup. So
Kuba.
All right.
Kuba
Oh, that's it.
Yep.
Wait, is that everything?
I mean,
have
unless
we
you want to talk
talked
about the
about
all the teams.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about Valiant, though.
Valiant is
Nothing really. I don't.
are
Oh,
you
they
saying
released
this-
KSF. That's it.
KSF.
That's it.
No, I'm talking about KSP, my dude. KSP.
They
if they're
have
still
already
here-
re-signed him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Question mark. So
I think
nothing
he
to
could
talk
work great
about.
on the no longer British Hurricane style roster of the future London Spitfire for next year.
Maybe, but that's a wait and see.
Yeah,
McGravy to
KSF,
Spitfire?
that's
Wait, Glister KSP trade?
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah,
that would be pretty good.
that's a good trade if you ask me.
It's fair for both sides.
You want win-win trades, never a lose or win in any side of the exchange. And that seems to be a pretty candid one, if neither of their salaries or buyouts are uneven.
I think we've covered everything. We got all the news. We covered.
I'm looking at
coaches'
one
signings.
right. Oh no, Seoul, SEOUL.
Oh God, yeah, we forgot about Dynasty.
You know,
They
the
haven't
one that's-
done
that
any-
feels
They have
really
you. They've
good players.
Have you seen this roster? You think they're gonna drop a single person on this roster?
Yeah, their heartbeat's kind of pumping at this point. They
Wait,
got
they
really good.
They got rid of Tuyu. They got rid of Slime, Badoshin, and I think it was either Marvel or Michelle. Toby is not re-signed with this team at all yet.
Yeah, this is
So they're missing.
that's
So
fair.
they're missing an entire support lineup then. If they've dropped Bedosin, Slime, and okay, so they just wait. Are they dropping Michelle?
Slime is in free
I
agency.
think they did drop Michelle. They did drop Michelle.
So they're
I
looking
believe
for a. They're looking for. Oh no, because they got Marvel and Gesture. Never mind.
Yeah,
they're
sorry,
kind
there's
of-
Fitz, Marvel, and Michelle, who for some reason signed as a free-headed Cerberus dog for some reason.
Yeah.
They just couldn't do individual announcements, but that's fine. This is the soul that is representative of the entire Overwatch League almost, for many people.
Yeah.
They did get a new. Did they get a new coach? No, they released Wizard Young, who I've always thought was a shitty fucking coach.
We've all followed
with-
the storyline. We were bamboozled
Yeah.
and actually believed he was the star coach of...
I thought they
Really
made
did.
Wizard Young as if it was like he was the
mind.
chosen one. Yeah, the chosen one. It's like he will bring Seoul Dynasty to glory, and then suddenly, yeah, he gets dropped.
No.
He
like-
will tip the power rankings upside down.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Seoul Dynasty head coach went to the Justice. Who
Aye?
I'm gonna be honest.
Well,
I'm gonna
they-
be honest. I hope the Seoul Dynasty head coach went to the Justice.
I need you to say that one more time, because I feel like I'm just having a
The
real...
Seoul
moment.
Dynasty coach went to the Washington Justice.
Injustice.
Hokury, that's the name I was looking for. Thank you. Thank you, chat.
Yeah,
No, you
Yeah,
don't
do it
exist.
really slowly. yeah.
If you say it slowly enough, I hear the word Hokury. Bro,
It's gonna be fine. He was he was GM of Dynasty.
Right? Are we
He'll-
gonna
he'll
see
do
a real
well.
improvement?
From what? The Soul?
Yeah, because I think
Hey,
they're just
I-
reducing the clutter. They've always had so many
know.
coaches in this personnel.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. Maybe they.
Yeah.
I've never
Maybe
seen
they
more
get
fear in
Jay
your eyes when we talk about APAC.
I don't know.
So much
this seems
uncertainty
weird.
that's being spelled here.
It is weird, but
Tell 'em
honestly,
to
I have nothing to say about them. When they start making roster moves, that's when I'll start noticing them. They're keeping who they're supposed to keep. Simple as that.
Yep.
But,
If they could
I mean,
If they could teach Fitz how to do Widow, unlike what I just saw in that grand finals where he was taking like up close shots with freaking SMG burst, that really tilted me. Fitz on Widow tilted me when I watched that grand final play.
It's
I was just like,
Fates was the biggest fucking carry for that team all year. He's the biggest carry for that team.
but yeah, no, I think
But yeah,
every team.
I think we covered everything. We
Yeah.
covered everything that was important.
What's coming up on the
And
schedule?
I think that's a. What do you mean?
Well, off-season, it's going to be a very long off-season. Like, it's
Yeah.
a combination of, like, February is going to be BlizzCon lines. That means that Overwatch 2 is going to be T. So this entire thing could just be turned on its head if they release, like, when they release, like, 15 new heroes or 4 new heroes in Overwatch 2, right? We still don't know that. There's still talks about how, like, they're rebranching the format of the Overwatch League. There's still talks of, like, contenders teams joining. Like, that's been
I
leaked.
want that to happen. If it's
Yeah,
in some
it's like-
form to allow some kind of balance between the
Yeah.
orgs that spent millions.
APAC needs more teams.
Yeah, no, but not. I'm not talking about like they're talking about bringing contenders teams into the Overwatch League, not as a
Like how they did the runaway.
Just kind
No,
of like a
but,
circuit
like-
thing, right? You
yeah,
introduce some more
exactly.
potential opposition who can take that winning championship title for those monthly tournaments. They're gonna do 3
Yeah,
at
so
least.
they're gonna try and reformat the league rather than just make it like a standings. They're gonna bring in like circuits. They're gonna bring in like geographic, like like they're gonna make it like geographic. We're still waiting on homestand to come back. Pandemic's not gonna end right now, but like we don't know if any of these players are gonna even be playing on LAN. And like I don't know about you guys. I still think that LAN is
we'll
one
just
of
have to wait and see.
yeah. But
Crossed.
yeah, it's going to be a turbulent off season if it's anything to go by. Like even I see a lot of these teams like rebuilding their core rosters are going to look good for the next year and a half, 2 years. But if Overwatch 2 does release as they predicted it in April 2021, this could blow everything out of the water, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But yeah, I think that's a good place to end it off. You guys think?
Yeah.
Good place to end it. Thank you, Poxy, for coming on. Spending about 2 hours with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I like it was a short notice. I've had a couple of gaffes there. I apologize. Like it's pretty late for me over in the European Union, so
yeah, it's all good.
If I said anything stupid, just bully me in the comments if it ever comes out.
Oh yeah, we're gonna put this on YouTube for everyone to see.
Yeah, we'll put this on
Everyone's fine.
YouTube. We'll keep you guys posted on Twitter for some of the highlights from this episode, and we'll get you some highlights up.
Poxy, do you want to shout out any social media? Anything you want to shout out?
Any Discord servers that happen to be also your fancy?
No, well, actually, the only thing I'm gonna shout out is that if anyone's part of the main main subreddit's Overwatch Discord, the our Overwatch Discord, we're gonna be hosting another community clash tournament soon. So
I thought you were about to say the r/competitive Overwatch series. Like I got
no,
banned there.
Oh no,
yeah,
no,
r/cow.
we don't.
Nah.
We're not even.
We don't talk about r/cow.
We aren't huge on.
You know.
I got banned there. I got
r/.
banned.
r/OW is my style, but yeah, no. I mean, it's not really much of my shout out, much as it's also Obi's shout out as well, because he does the occasional cast. He does the occasional caller commentary with me on the desk. So yeah, that's my only shout out.
Yeah.
If anyone, just at PoxyCaster on Twitter, but I don't have anything on that Twitter anyways. So.
At PoxyCaster on Discord. Honestly, you can meet up with this guy and myself. We're pretty much the veterans of the Discord. That's just called Overwatch.
Yeah, we host the watch parties.
We keep it simple. You just go add Discord server and type in Overwatch. If you want to join our Discord, feel free to join it. We've got a link to it on Twitter, and we can repost that for you lovelies when we upload the next episode with this one here for you guys to rewatch. We're also on probably good places here and there, so feel free to just drop a message and say hi. We've got a Gmail if you want to post your feedback and suggestions. Always keen to hear from the community. And
or you can sponsor us.
Sponsors always open. We're not sponsored by Discord, but my God, would you love to see us be sponsored by Discord?
We're more so sponsored by Chess Mix because I've been eating a lot of Chex Mix while doing this. But anyway, I have nothing else to say. Once again, thank you, Poxy, for coming on.
It's been a pleasure.
No, we'll call you. Don't call us. But
we'll do it through smoke signals. That's something a little more elaborate, right? So nobody else
we'll do We'll do shadow animals on the wall if we need you. So yeah.
Pleasure hopping on. Thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Later,
Thanks,
shitters.
everybody. Signing
Very
off.
much.